This conference will now be recorded.
So can anyone recall what we discussed in the previous session?
Overview of API.
Overview of API, right? So API is nothing but a
Application
application
programming
interface.
interface.
Yes, application programming.
Programming interface. Interface.
Yes, very good. So application programming interface. So here, see. So in Boomi, okay, not only in Boomi, in general API. So there are different APIs we have. Like one is a REST APIs, right? And SOAP APIs.
So API.
Yeah, these are all the two very very important APIs. Okay, the third one is OData type. Okay, so now rest is nothing but a representational, okay, representational state transfer. Okay, representational state transfer. Okay, representational state transfer. So it is an architecture. Okay, it is an architecture means, so like we can use this as an architecture. We can develop any integrations, or we can develop we can connect with any application system. So it is an architecture. Okay, so now soap is a simple object access protocol. So it is a protocol. Okay, it is a protocol where we can use for a minimal. Okay, we can use for exposing the data, like we can use it is for exposing the data from the Boomi. And sometimes if you want to do a consume, you can consume the data also, but most of the time we can use a soaps, exposing the data. Okay, it is a protocol. Okay, it is a protocol. So now we'll discuss in between the difference between this REST and SOAP. So as I mentioned Boomi, uh, okay, REST is a API is a representational states transfer. It is an architecture. It is an architecture where we can use to consume the APIs. And SOAP is a simple object access protocol. It is a protocol where we can use it into, it is to expose the APIs. Okay, expose means we are giving some services. Okay, we are giving some services to the end users. At the time we can use the SOAP. Okay, so now, SOAP, simple object access protocol. It is a protocol, right? A SOAP is no, okay, is a kind of protocol where it can be supports the XML format of data. Okay, XML format of data is supporting by the SOAP. Okay, so SOAP will accept the XML format of data, and here we have a WSDL files. Okay, WSDL, WSDL, we can call it as a WSDL files. Okay, so basically whenever you are dealing with the WSDL SOAP files, SOAP APIs, so basically the SOAP, okay, the SOAP will support the XML format of data and WSDL files. This WSDL will files is nothing but which contains the body. Okay, so whenever you get a chance to just log in, go through online, and go through about this WSDL files. Okay, how WSDL file looks like and what are the things it contains. Okay, in this WSDL file contains a header. Okay, header, comma, envelope, and body. So these are all the three parts the this WSDL file will contain. Okay, so basically the WSDL file is nothing but a XML file only. Okay, these WSDL files will looks like a XML file. Okay, but some headers will be there, envelope and body will be there. This body part will contain the exact structure, exact payload of the data. And this envelope contains the envelopes, and the header will contains the authorization local authorization type and the authorization details, and different envelopes it will contains. Okay, so now, okay, So now coming to REST APIs. Okay, as I mentioned, REST. Okay, representational state transfer. It is an architecture. Okay, it is an architecture. Here we can use both the JSON format of data as well as the XML format of data. So the REST will support both the JSON as well as the XML because it's a protocol. Oh, sorry, it is a structure, architecture. So now whenever in general, I'm not giving complete depth about this, complete depth knowledge about this. So whenever you get a time, go through this, what do you mean by REST APIs and what do you mean by SOAP APIs. Okay, I'm giving just high level overview. So now JSON will supports both XML as well as the JSON format of data. And see, whenever you're it will consume the less bandwidth because see, here JSON is a no lightweight structure, right? Lightweight language compared to the XML. XML is a tag based as well as command based language. It will consume the more bandwidth, right? So that's why SOAP. Okay, what are the SOAP APIs is there or SOAP? So it will consume more bandwidth. Okay, so will consume more bandwidth and REST will consume less bandwidth. Okay, okay. So now see here. And security wise, okay, the security wise, SOAP will provide the more secure. Okay, SOAP will provide SOAP will provide more secure to the data. Okay, then why you can say, sir, if we are so providing the more secure of data, then why we are working with the REST? Because the like here in the REST also we have different different authorizations which will give you the more secure to that data. But but the SOAP will give you more secure to the data because here we are following the WSDL files. This WSDL files will contain the headers. In the header part we will give you the authorization details. Okay, so that's why WSDL files or the SOAP will give you the more secure to the data. Okay, so now let me open the Boomi platform. Yeah, okay, now see, so I will give you okay high level overview. So whenever you are working with, okay, whenever you are working with APIs, okay, whenever you are working with APIs, so mostly you need to focus on the URL part. Okay, so see, whenever you are connecting with in any application system, if, let's say if you are connecting with the Salesforce or you are connecting with the database, so what we are doing, we are giving some URLs, right? Depending on the type, we are connecting with that particular application and we are giving the URL, right? For example, let's say here we are connecting with the database. If I open the database connection, okay, you can see here database URL, right? JDBC Oracle thin at the rate or local host. So the details which we are providing here, okay, the details which we are providing, so according to that it is changing. Now you can see here MySQL is changed, right? And here the local host and the port number and database name, depending on the details this URL is going to be changed. So now same way, whenever you are connecting with any application system, you need to focus on the URL. Okay, so this base URL is a part, combination of two. Okay, so URL is a combination of two parts. Okay, base URL, base URL plus
Request
request URL
URL.
or resource URL, I can say. Okay, yes, request URL or resource URL. okay, is resource url. So this base url, okay, this base url we will get from the boomi. Okay, so now from where we can get this base url, we'll see. And the request url is nothing but a custom url. I can say it's a custom url because we can build or we can give according to our action, what are the action which we want to perform. Okay, whether you want to get the data or you want to update the data or you want to post the data, depending on that particular action. So this url, this resource url is going to be created. Okay, so I can say it is a custom url. Okay, so now focus on the base url. So now base url, from where we can get this base url, how we can get this base url. Before that, whenever you are dealing with this apis, okay, whenever you are working with this apis, so like where exactly we need to change these urls, and the username and password, from where we can get these urls and all we can see. Okay, now come to boomi. Now you can see here we have a manage, right? We have a manage. Click on the atom management. Okay, click on the atom management. So now click on the atom which you are working with. Okay, right now we are working with this atom, right? Click on this atom. So here we have a all the information about this atom, right? Atom information, setup properties, logs and all. So now if you scroll down, you can see here settings and configurations we have. So under that we have a shade, right? You can see here shade web services,
Yes,
right? Shade
yes.
web server, right? Click on shade web server. Now you can see here we have a general and user management, right? General and user management. So now you can see here we have a three basic settings. Okay, basic settings. Under that we have a api type. Okay, we have a api type. So this api type, okay, api types are three types. Okay, api types are three types. One is a basic, I can say none, sorry, basic. The second one is intermediate, and the third one is advanced. Okay, advanced. So now come and see here. So you can open this. So with intermediate user management is enabled at the individual process level. See, whenever you are putting the API type as intermediator, the intermediator means, so the intermediate means here you can see, so individual process level, like whenever you want to give any individual user, okay, any individual access to. So let's say basically these apis are nothing but we are giving access to the end user, right, to expose the data or to consume the data, right? So intermediate means individual, okay, individual user. Okay, we can add the individual user and we can give the access to that individual user to the particular process. Okay, so now here can see here, you can see, so api components cannot be used for intermediators. We cannot use the api components, like we have different api components like api service, api proxy. So these are all different api components we have, we cannot use for the individual process level. Okay, this is default by for the account with the server services enabled feature created before. Okay, so like here you can see about the leave about this. Okay, but it is a default account server. Okay, if you are putting intermediator means we can give the we can access to individual accounts or individual users. Okay, so now we can see here we have a basic, intermediate and advanced. So we have three api types. Let me go with the basic. Basic means you can see here with the basic user management is disabled. Okay, now you can see here user management is not there. So now we cannot able to add any specific user, or we cannot give any access to the specific user. It is a kind of public. Okay, okay, it is a kind of public. Now basic means, so client certification, custom authentication and api components cannot be used. You can see here, so it is a kind of public. If you are putting basic, the no, we cannot able to use any api component or custom authentication types. Okay, so now if I come to advanced. Okay, whenever if you are using, okay, whenever you are working with the API types, okay, whenever you are using any HTTPs, or else if you are using any web servers, okay, so at the time the API type should be advanced. Okay, the API type should be advanced. So now if I come here, where with the API components are enabled, you can see here API components are enabled, user management is enabled. Now you can see here we have a user management, right? So whenever you are dealing with this APIs, you must not change this API type into advanced. Okay, so now see, now API type should be advanced. Here see, so this is my base URL. Okay, this is my base URL. So this base URL is no combination of, this is a protocol, right? HTTP is a protocol. Then this is a desktop, 50v4 something is there, right? This is my laptop. Okay, the whatever the server I am using. Okay, that IP address. Okay, this is my IP address. This laptop IP address. Now you can see here. So it is concatenated with my port number. This particular host. Okay, this particular server where it is hosted, and to that it is a port number. Okay, so now this is my IP address. For example, yesterday I told you that, okay, yesterday I told you that, if you remember, so whenever you are working with, okay, let's say you want to browse something, okay, you want to browse something, or you want to get something from the Google, what you will do, no, you will give some https like this, right, like this, right, www dot at mset mset, right, mset is mset result, right, msetresult.com. So this mset, see, this mset result is in a front, okay, in a screen you are seeing that mset result, but in back end, okay, whenever this server is created, when the data is installed, when the data is kept in this particular server, there might be one IP addresses will be
IP
there, right?
address. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
IP address is there. This IP address are nothing but some number. Okay, so that but you
124.1.
will not understand, right? But you will not understand what this exactly the number is saying. Okay,
Yes.
this number format you will not understand. So that, okay, like GoDaddy or some servers providers will be there, right? They will give you one IP address. I mean, they will provide one IP address with the name. Okay, in backend it is a number format only, but in a front end you will see the namings, right? In the same way you can see here, it is desktop, some number is there, right? This is my base URL. Okay, this is my base URL, right? Now this is my base URL. Now this base URL needs to be concatenated with the resource URL, or custom URL, or request URL. Okay, so now how we can concatenate, now we can see. Till here, anyone have any questions or any doubts? Yes.
No.
Okay. So now you can see here we have a default and port number, and SSL. Here we have a different authentication type, like basic, clients is certificate, clients certificate header, custom, and gateways. So these gateways is a different concept we'll discuss. So now we'll go with the basic, right? Basic authentication. So whenever you are using basic or none, okay, authentication type. So if you are using none, we cannot use any username and password. Okay, if you are using that basic means you should create a username and password. So from where we can get that username and password? So now here we have a user management. You can see here we have a user management. If I click on the user management, so here we can add multiple users, okay, to whom you want to give the access. Okay, for example here the mset is there. So this mset will not give you the access to everyone, right? It will ask some username and password, right? So whoever having that username and password, they can log in into that particular portal, and they will get that result, right? In the same way, the Boomi also will not allow you to access everyone. It will give, it will going to be give you the restrictions. Okay, so for example, if you want to give access, okay, if you want to give access to any particular end user, then we can add that user over here. We need to add the user here. So here you can see here we have a users. Let me add one user. So this is my user, right? If I want to add some abc at the rate gmail.com or something, okay, this is my, okay, this is let's say, Okay, this is my user. Okay, so this is my user, you can see here. Okay, Boomi is my user. Now this user is concatenated with the training. Okay, training, you can see here the account. This is my account, right? That account name is concatenating here. So now this particular user can be access this APIs. They can hit their this APIs, they can consume these APIs. Okay, so now you can see. And how we can get the password, so now you can see here authentication credentials. Authentication configure credentials for the authentication method is this user will be used. Okay, so now you can see this is my username. This particular user can be used this as a username. Okay, this is a username. And password. Okay, password can be, we can generate here. Okay, basic authentication is nothing but a username and password. So now you can generate the token, right? This is a token we can use as a password. So okay, this token can be used as a password. Okay, now you can see here IP filtering. Okay, IP filtering, use IP filtering also. If you want, you can use IP filtering and you can give the particular IP address. Okay, so like as I mentioned, without name, like for example, without name, if you want to give any IP address. Okay, here we have IP address, right? Without no, this is a name. But if you want to, we know the IP address, you want to add that filter no, IP address over here, we can add. Okay, so you can see, for example, 255 double something, dot something number is there, right? So that IP address also we can add. Okay, you can see here. So allow access by one or more of single IP addresses. Okay, so there is some range. Okay, IP address will ranges will be there. That is a different concept. And whenever you are working with the networking or no cyber security networking, something networking will be there, right? So that guys will know about this IP addressing. Okay, so now if you want to give access to this particular IP address also, you can add here. Okay, so I'm not adding this one, that's fine. Okay, now till here anyone have any questions or any doubts? Yeah.
No, no.
Okay, so till here if you don't have anything, now you can come and see use API filtering. So use API filtering means, so but let's say here we are giving some 10 users. Okay, we are adding some 10 users. So out of 10 users, if you want to give a specific user needs to be hit this particular API. Let's say okay, 10 users is there. So out of 10, only two users. Okay, only two, you want to give access to only two users. Okay, now you can check here. So you can give that particular process. Okay, that particular process to particular user. Let's say here we are creating multiple process. Okay, here for example multiple processes. Out of processes you want to give access to only one process to one user. Then here we can use IP filtering, and see here allow access only a specific person. Okay, specific. So which means here we can give the specific. Okay, so now I'm not giving this specific, I'm save. Click on save. Now you can see, yes, restart plugins. So once you added this user, and once you created the token, so this token is nothing but a password. So plugin configuration changes required a restart of the plugin for new configurations to take effect. Okay, let me restart it. Save and restart. See here, web servers are saved, updated, right? So now course configuration is different concept. Okay, that leave about that. Till here anyone have any questions or any doubts? Yes.
No problem.
Oh, okay. So if you don't have anything, so now this base part is completed. This base part is completed, and we created the base URL, and we generated the username and password. So now we need to add the resource URL. Then how we can create this resource URL? Now we can see. So now come back to the Boomi. Okay, go to build tab. Let me create a one new process. Okay, so now you can see whenever you are working with real time integrations, okay, whenever you are working with the real time integrations, you must start your process with the connector type. Okay, you must start with your start process with the connector type. Here we have a connector now, and we have a web service server. Okay, so we have a web service server, and we have a web service soap client, and we have a http client. So basically we'll go with a web service server. Whenever you have a web servers, if you want to hit, okay, if you want to hit or if you want to listen the request, we can go with the web service servers. Okay, so and one more important note here, the web service servers will not consume any connection part. Okay, will not consume any license, because we are not going to create, see, the web service server will not create any we are not going to create any connection part. You can see here. So here you can see in the connection part, it is saying that the atom web server will manage the connection settings. Okay, so in the atom, right, we in the atom we there we change it, right, the API type into advanced, and in the shared web services, so that will going to be manage the connection details. Okay, this connection settings. Okay, so here we are not going to create any connections for the web services. Okay, so now action is listen. You can see here the action is listen. So if you remember, when I am explaining the basics about the real time, so if you remember, when the real time configuration, when we are developing the real time integrations, so when the request is generated at the source side, okay, the same moment we will listen, right, the request will be listened by the Bhumi, right. So that is nothing but real time. That real time integrations can be done, can be developed with the help of web service server. Okay, web services server. So now action should be listen. Okay, so now we'll create the operation. Let me create an operation here. Okay, listen. Now you can see here action is listen, and see here we have a simple URL path. Okay, simple URL path. So this simple URL path is nothing but a, okay, that custom URL. Okay, so the endpoint for the XML or JSON request and posted data that are not in a SOAP or a structured format. Okay, the path is appended with the operation. Here, see here, operation type, okay, lowercase with the object. Okay, so now you can see WSDL. Okay, WSDL and simple, and get action is get. Now you can see operation type. So whether you want to get the data or query the data, create the data or update the data or upsert the data, delete or execute, different operations we have. So we'll go with the get. Okay, we'll go with get and object. Okay, what are the object you are trying to hit? Okay, you are trying to listen. Let's say I want to listen employees data. Okay, employees data. Now I want to listen the employees data. So now you can see here employees data is whatever the data which we are giving here, it is taking here, right, employees data. Even we are giving the lower case, it is taking this no camel case,
Upper.
which
Yes.
means yes, and the expected input. Okay, so expected input. Okay, if you are giving any expected input is there, you can give like single data or single XML object or multiple XML object. Okay, depending on that. So basically the get operation will not take any expected input and expected output. So now if you want to give the expected output, you can give response. Okay, so now for time being I'm, so now this is my resource URL. This is my resource URL. Visual file simple get employees data. Let me copy this, save and close. Now say okay. See now the action is, the configuration is complete. So simple guys. See, we are operation, the operation, we need to give the object type and the operation type. Okay, so you need to understand what do you mean by get and what do you mean by query, what do you mean by create, what do you mean by update, upsert, delete and exit. So go and explore these types. Okay, go and explore about these different types, what is the difference between them. Okay, so mostly, like, some of the people will get confusion. So get and query. Okay, so get and query today, go and explore what do you mean by get and what do you mean by query. Okay, so now we are taking the operation as get, and we are creating the object type. Okay, this object type is, so, action. The operation, see, the operation which we are performing get, and it is concatenating with the object, right? Here the simple and the visual is common. Till here, anyone have any questions or any doubts? Yes. No, this is
No.
my complete here. Okay, let me remove this. Yeah. Till here, anyone have any questions or any doubts? Okay, if you don't have anything, okay, we can wind up the session here, and tomorrow we will see how we can listen this. Okay, how we can listen this request from. Tomorrow what we will do, I will create a one database table, or else I will create a one data. Okay, one data, and in a Salesforce or any application, then we will try to listen that data. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay then. Mhm, na?